Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Skåne here in the south of Sweden, and we're going to return to one of my local craft breweries actually. And this is a brewery that I rate really quite highly. They're kind of a specialist in the sort of hazy New England IPAs, but they also do a good number of fruited beers and Berliner Weisses and things like that, and it's one of those that we're going to look at today. So for this review then, we are going to go up to Helsingborg in the northwest corner of Skåne, and we're having a look at another beer from Brewski Mikrobryggeri. So this one is called the Strawberry Pie, and it's a Berliner Weisse coming in at 4% ABV with strawberries, raspberries, lemon and vanilla added into the brew. So Brewski are quite a prolific brewery. They tend to release maybe 2-3 beers every month through the local and small småskaligt assortment. This one was released on the 3rd of March 2020 along with, I think it was one of them might have been a pale ale and one of them was an IPA. But the last beer I had from these guys was the Triple Berry Pie, which was actually a recommendation from a subscriber, and it turned out really very nicely. So this is the one out of the 3 they released this month that caught my eye. So I'm really curious to see how this one turns out, because as I say, the Triple Berry Pie really was a bit of a treat, I have to say. And I'm sure if this one turns out to be as popular, then they will keep this one around for a little while as well. I need to review another IPA from Brewski though. It's been a little while since I've had one of those. But very curious to see how this one turns out, and as always I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this beer. Nice to return to Brewski after what feels like a little while actually. So yeah, let's see how we get on then. So as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Brewski Mikrobryggeri before. No doubt there will be some more at some point in the near future. There's all the usual social media down there as well. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's being added to whenever I get the opportunity, which is pretty much all the time. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Brewski Mikrobryggeri then. So Brewski, as I mentioned to you already, are based in Helsingborg in Skåne in the north of Sweden, and the company was founded back in 2014. The founders of the company are Marcus Hjalmarsson, Johan Britzen, Alfred Olsson and Robin Skoglund. And all of these guys were largely inspired to start their own brewery because of the West Coast American craft beers. So Marcus is the main man behind the beer itself, and he was originally associated with the High Nose brand of beer, which is brewed at the Höganäs Brewery, and some of these beers are still brewed up there, although all of the Brewski beers are now brewed at their own brewery in Helsingborg, which you can find in the train yard kind of to the south of the main central station. But this now has a brewing capacity of 100,000 litres of beer per month. In 2016 they also started their own beer festival, which is called Brewskival. They had over 40 different brewers, and this has continued to and expanded year on year actually. I've been there in 2017, 2018 and 2019 if I remember correctly, so I've been there 3 times now. So they also used to open up their brewery once a month as a bar, which was called Barski, but they now have their own bar in central Helsingborg which goes by the same name, and it opened back in 2018. And you'll get some nice ramen there. I think it's an American chef that they have, so the ramen isn't authentic Japanese, it's a sort of kind of fusion take on it if you like. But the ones that I had when I was there were very nice actually, so I would recommend that you check out Brewski if you get the chance. As of January 2020 though, these guys have produced around 300 different beers, and I think it's up to about 315 or something like, or 310 at the moment when I checked Untappd earlier. So as of March 2020 they've produced around 310 different types of beer. So a very prolific brewery this one, always experimenting and always doing some very interesting stuff. This brewery are probably, as I said earlier, most famous for their kind of hazy New Englands and sort of fruited IPAs as well, and also the Berliner Weisses and some sour beers. But every so often they do release an Imperial Stout, and their Imperial Stouts always tend to be quite nice as well. So if you get the chance to try those, I would recommend you have a look at those just for something a little bit different actually. So yeah, that's all I can really tell you at the moment. about Brewski. If you want to learn more, of course, you can check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and of course you can check out the Rate Beer and Untappd pages to see about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this one then. So as I told you earlier, this one is a 4% Berliner Weisse. So that is, I think they might well bring out a 3.5% version of this as well, because I know with the triple berry pie they had a 3.5% version that was going into the supermarkets, because you know it can fit in as a Volksöl. And you know, with the Berliner Weisse, I don't think it really matters how much alcohol's in it, because you can still get the same sort of flavour scope. But yeah, like I said earlier, a Berliner Weisse with strawberries, raspberries, lemon and vanilla added to the brew. And they're also telling you that if you take a photo of this beer and put it on Instagram, use the hashtag Brewski Moment. So yeah, let's get this guy out then and we'll get on with the taste. And I'm really curious to see what this beer has in store for us. So yeah. Oh, this looks good. But yeah, I do need to make a review of another IPA from Brewski at some point soon. Maybe the Scarecrow or the Triple Threat, because those have been getting good reviews actually, so I'll see if I can get a can of those at some point soon. But they release so many beers, it's difficult to kind of balance things out on the channel when there's so many breweries releasing beers here in Sweden. So yeah, I need to make sure and review some of those other Brewski ones as well. So yeah, but as you can see with this beer, and I'll tell you straight away, you can smell the vanilla off this as you open it up. But as you can see with this beer, it's poured a lovely kind of, it's almost like a kind of candied, like candy apple red or something like that. Almost a little bit like that. Candy apple red I remember from the Fender guitars actually. It really, the colour of this one really reminds me of that. There's a solid 2/3 finger of a frothy, kind of pinkish coloured head. It's very, very foamy though. Very, very smooth head. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass though, and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of the head there. But overall, when you consider that this beer is a Berliner Weisse, the appearance of this one is not surprising. You can get some really interesting colours out of this particular style of beer. So yeah, let's have a little look at the aroma then and see how we get on with this one. Oh, that smells really nice. That does smell very, very nice. Yeah, so straight away with this beer, there's a lovely sort of wheaty aroma to it, which you know is what you would expect from a Berliner Weisse. Yeah, I really like how that goes together. So lovely kind of smooth wheaty aroma in there. You can really pick up the vanilla. The vanilla gives the beer a lovely kind of sweet, and it almost makes it smell a bit creamy, to be honest with you. Do they have oats in this? I'd be very interested to know. I mean, normally you wouldn't put oats in it, but it says it's got lactose in it, so that, and Havre, yeah, it does have oats in it. I was thinking, yeah. So yeah, they put a little bit of oats in this to kind of smoothen it out a bit. That's an interesting thing. I didn't know that some of these breweries were doing that with Berliner Weisses, but yeah, it says it does say Havre in there, which means oats. So yeah, this one has a bit of oats in it. You can really smell the lactose notes in there as well. It's got a lovely kind of creamy, vanilla-y, white bready, wheaty smoothness to it. The malt base on this comes across as very, very sweet. This is definitely one of the sweeter, more malty smelling Berliner Weisses that I've come across. But on top of that, you really do get some of the juicy strawberries. They kind of mix in with that whole kind of smooth vibe. It comes, the strawberries come across as a little bit kind of creamy, but you can smell the more tart qualities of the raspberries and the lemons in there as well. So raspberry, I love raspberries because, you know, Scotland, our raspberries are quite famous, but I think our strawberries are, in fairness, as well. But you can really smell the more tart raspberries towards the front of the nose, and you also get a little bit of the lemon. But I think the lemon is quite subtle in this one. I think it's more about the juiciness of the strawberry and the tartness of the raspberry. But when I say that, yeah, it really is more about the strawberries. And that's, you know, when it's called strawberry pie, you'd expect that, to be quite honest, you know. You really would be expecting that from this beer. When it's called strawberry pie, you would expect the strawberries to be a little bit more kind of prominent. But obviously the impression that the the malt base is supposed to give with the wheat, the oats, and the lactose and the vanilla and stuff. It wants to have a kind of creamy, they want to give you the sort of cream kind of vibe about this beer, but it really does smell very nice. That's in terms of Berliner Weisses, I think it's hard to beat an aroma like that, but the triple berry pie was a very impressive one as well. But like I say, take a little bit of time to enjoy the aroma there. There's not really much in the way of a hoppy character to this one. Sometimes they add a little bit of hop to Berliner Weisse, sometimes they don't. I don't think they've added hops to this, but you might get the impression of just a little bit of grassiness to the beer. But without further ado then, let's have a taste of this beer and see how we get on. This one is the strawberry pie, a Berliner Weisse with strawberries, raspberries, lemon and vanilla. Also some lactose added to the brew, with oats in the malt base too, which is quite interesting, from Brewski in Helsingborg here in Skåne in the south of Sweden. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skål. Ooh, that's really nice. I'll say straight away, this is a very, very nice beer actually. Do I like, you know, to me, just going from sheer memory, this one has a completely different vibe to it from the triple berry pie. I remember the triple berry pie being a little bit more kind of sharp and tartar than this one is. This one definitely goes down a different path and is a bit more smooth and candied and sweet, if you like. So that's an interesting point to make about this one. This one takes a completely different path in my mind. But I will say, it's equally as good. I like this. Thumbs up to Brewski once again. And I've said this on the channel over the last little while. I mean, Brewski have been doing the sour beers for a long time, but I think it's only sour beers for me. When I first kind of started, I was a bit like, but it's only kind of in recent times since I got into since Chris Contreras, one of the subscribers of the channel, since he sent me the lambic beers. It's only really since then that I've really started to develop a proper taste for sour beers, and so I'm making an active effort to review more of these on the channel over the last little while. So I feel like I've maybe missed out on some of the stuff that Brewski have done in the past, but to go and try it now, it really is a bit of a treat. So if you like your sour beers and your Berliner Weisses and things like that, Brewski really are one of the breweries that you want to check out. And these guys have a very good reputation throughout Europe for these beer styles. You know, the Faber series, the fruited IPAs, they're kind of hazy New England IPAs are nice. They're quite wheaty and bitey ones that I've had, but the Berliner Weisses, in my experience, are also very good as well. So, and just a very solid all-round brewery. And my only complaint about Brewski is I wish they would try other styles a little bit more often, because when they do, they turn out to be very nice too. But this is a lovely, very sweet and smooth and candied sort of Berliner Weiss, this one. So let's break the flavour down a little bit more. So yeah, middle of your palate then, you can feel that lovely kind of white bready smoothness just blankets in the middle of your tongue, and that's the wheat. But the wheat's very, very smooth in this. I mean, you've got oats coming out, some of the oaty creaminess comes out more towards the front of the centre of the palate. But the lactose, you really can feel the creaminess from the lactose in this one, and that's smoothing out the whole centre of your palate. On the very edges of your tongue, I think there might be a little bit of a wee touch of Hallertau or Tettnanger or something on the edge of this, on the palate there, because there's a teeny little bit of that soft earthiness, and you do get a little bit of an almost grassy quality around the edge of your palate. So that is quite nice actually, how this all goes together. I really like how the vibe that this beer has. So the backbone of the beer, the malt base, and the adjuncts, I guess you should say as well, come out really nicely. The vanilla kind of notes, they come out in the very centre of the palate, I would say. Yeah, the vanilla notes really come out in the very sort of centre of your palate. But when you take this beer in, you do get a good bit of that lemon kind of tartness to it, but it does feel a little bit juicier than that. You can feel the raspberries sort of having their influence as well, and you'll feel that around the kind of front edge of your tongue. You'll really feel the sharpness of the raspberries in this in this one as well, which is really quite nice. I really like how just everything mixes together in this one. This is one of these beers where it's actually it's just all about how these flavours kind of merge together. And I mean, my sort of view of the Berliner Weisse has been it's always quite it's a very easy beer style to play with. I mean, you've got the base there, you put in the sour bacteria, it's a low alcohol one. You can add pretty much whatever fruit to it that you liked. I mean, one thing that would be cool actually for these guys to do would be a cloudberry pie. You know, using the Swedish cloudberries, that would be quite an unusual thing for them to do. And you know, there's lots of other different berries around the place. It'd be quite cool to see them continue the pie series and do it with lots of different fruits. So maybe that's something for Brewski to think about. But yeah, I mean, it's the Berliner Weisse. If you can get a solid base recipe in there, it's a very, very easy style to play with. And you know, Brewski have done that. They've managed to find a very solid base recipe here, and I like it. It really is. Berliner Weisse for me is not the most complex style, but if you can pull it off well, it can be a really, really nice drinkable beer, and that's what they've pulled off here. So for me, it's all about how these flavours just interact with each other. But like I said, at the front of the palate you get that lovely kind of, there's a mix between the lemony and the raspberry type tartness there. You can feel that just on the front edge of your tongue, because what always happens when you add fruit into the beers, it suppresses a little bit of the kind of hoppy edge to the beer, so you can really feel that lemony and raspberry juiciness lingering there into the aftertaste. But the bit behind the front curve of the palate, that's where the strawberries are really coming out in this one, which is nice. So yeah, behind the front part of your palate, the sort of sweet fruity part of your palate at the front, that's all about the strawberries for me. And it's a very juicy strawberry. The strawberry to me doesn't come across as sour, it comes across as quite candied and a little bit oily. It's the raspberries and the lemons, I think, that are giving the beer the tart edge, but the strawberries for me really are quite smooth and quite candied, and they linger into the aftertaste, and then you can feel the vanilla, and you can feel the sort of vanilla flavours and the kind of creamy notes pushing their way out at the back of the palate later on too. But overall, this is a really, really nice Berliner Weisse. It gets a big thumbs up from me, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. Difficult to say whether it's better than the triple berry pie. I think it's just as good. And I think, to be honest, the two of them are, it's basically subjective, you know, it's a matter of opinion. It depends whether you prefer strawberries or whether you prefer like blackberries and blueberries and all of this kind of thing. But they're both very, very nice beers actually. I think, I would say with this one as well, if this is only a limited release for March, I think that would be a bit of a shame, because this is a very nice beer. So I mean, these ones, like I say, you can take these down. If they did a 3.5% version of this and put it in the supermarkets, you know, it would sell very, very well, and you wouldn't lose, I don't think you'd lose any of the flavour out of this, to be honest with you. You know, it's, the problem with Systembolaget is they're always kind of rotating the range, and they can only take so much, if you like. So I think probably the best route for this one is to take it down a little bit and put it into the supermarkets in Sweden, because this would be a very popular beer in the summer along with the triple berry pie. But this one, in fairness, is a little bit thicker, so it probably is more a kind of spring Berliner Weisse, if there is such a thing. But regardless, it's a lovely beer, this, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. So have a go at this for yourself and just see what you think. But this is a slightly thicker and smoother and creamier Berliner Weisse compared to others that I've had. So yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel then, definitely a mid-bodied beer generally, but I'd say for the Berliner Weisse, this one is quite a full-bodied Berliner Weisse. Carbonation is very, very smooth. I'd say the mouthfeel overall is quite smooth. There is an element of oiliness there, a little bit of tartness. It's not overly tart compared to other things. The malt base, like I said, very smooth and also very sweet. There's not really any, I'd be surprised if there's any IBUs to this one, maybe 5 at the most, something like that, but a lovely juicy fruity candy note, some fruity tartness in there as well, and overall it is just a lovely solid beer, this. So well done to Brewski for pulling off something really pretty damn nice, I have to say. I look forward to seeing what comes out next in the pie series. A cloudberry pie could be a very interesting one for them to try actually. So yeah, let's leave it at that. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. As always, let me know your own thoughts in the comment section below on this beer, and let me know what your favourite beers are from Brewski as well. You will see an IPA review from these guys at some point fairly soon, I'll make sure of that. But thank you again for watching. Check out my social media. Make sure you try some of the Brewski beers, and if you try this one or the triple berry pie, you are in for a bit of a treat. They're very good when it comes to Berliner Weisses. But yeah, I'll catch you guys soon. Check out Brewski Brewery, and particularly the pie series is very good. Until the next time, slàinte just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Slàinte, skål, cheers.